Okay, this is a situation where we have very little green to work with. We've got a lot of rough up here, so there's no way we can putt it. You know, we can't bump and run it because this grass is too long, and the green's kind of running away from us. So this is a very interesting proposition because I'm on a little bit of a tight lie. So the only chance I have to get this close is to hit a little bit of a flop shot. Now, there's a lot of confusion on flop shots, whether we should hinge the wrist, not hinge the wrist, take it low, you know, open up, do all this kind of stuff. Let me make it real simple for you. What happens to most people on the flop shot is they tend to put the ball forward and they open up the blade, which is correct. But what most people do is they tend to take it back without any wrist hinge. And when you take it back without any wrist hinge, you don't come into the ball very steep. You come into it very shallow. So what ends up happening is if you back up any, you usually get that. You can hit fat, you can hit thin, it tends to scoot across the green. The problem with this shot is when you're on this tight lie, we're going to have to set the club just a little bit more, okay? And by setting the club, we just cock the wrist just a little bit and form an L between our forearms and the club shaft. And what that does is that increases the angle of attack coming down, so we drive the club more into the ground, and that causes the ball to pop up more in the air with a little bit more spin, okay? So what I want you to do is put the ball forward, open up the blade just like you normally would do, set the club just a little bit, and then pivot through it. Now, the only danger about setting the club is we don't want to set and flip. It's a set and pivot. You've also heard it described as hinge and hold. It's exactly the same type of concept. So here we go. We put the ball more forward. We open the blade a little bit. We're going to set the wrist just a little bit, pivot through it, keeping our right shoulder moving. Here we go. Set, pivot. And what's going to happen is you can see that ball has a little bit of spin. The green kind of runs away from it, so it's going to trickle. So I tried to leave the ball under the hole so I could have an uphill right to left putt. And that is a pretty doggone good shot from this particular scenario. But the key is to make sure you hinge and pivot. That is going to have the club go down and through the turf. It's going to spin the golf ball, and it's going to have a chance to grab and stop a little bit. If you take the wrist out of the equation, you're going to have a real hard time hitting it solid, and it's going to come out low and flat, and if you back up any, you're going to have a lot of trouble. So remember, on the flop shots, make it real simple. Open the blade, put the ball forward, set, pivot. If you'll set and pivot with some tempo, you're going to hit some really soft lob shots around the green, regardless of the lie, and you're going to have a lot more fun. You're going to have a lot better chance of making putts on that green time after time.